Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for coming to the Democracy4All event. We are very proud to talk about governance in Metaverse because as a Center Blockchain of Catalonia, we work for the massive adoption of the blockchain among the companies and organizations. And we always have believed that Metaverse it's a great example that can promote the massive adoption among the people and the companies because it's a way of doing like a gaming, no? It's like gamification, no? I don't know the word more or less, but it's a perfect example to achieve our mission as a center. And for me, it's a pleasure to have these three people here in this round table because they are really experts in governance and Metaverse. And first of all, I'd like to introduce Alessandro Capezza, better known in the Metaverse as Alex Nomads. Yeah? Yes. His background is in advertising, gaming and creativity between Australia, UK and Europe. And he has been helping the Sandbox growing their community and partnerships globally during the last two or three years. Then he joined to Longbolt, the biggest developer of Metaverse, as a head of marketing and ecosystem. The next one, Edwin Mata, is CEO and co-founder of Brickken, academic director of the Master in Blockchain and Crypto of Nucleo Digital School and Binance, and partner of the law firm Atolon, serial entrepreneur, blockchain lawyer, lecturer, and advisor in the Web3 ecosystem. And finally, Lorenzo Patuzzo, local impact lead of AKASHA Foundation, founder of the AKASHA Hub, multidisciplinary, creative, and social entrepreneur since 2013. It's far, far away. Involved in design and decentralized infrastructures, and he worked in technical knowledge spread and adoption through collaborative local projects. Thank you all for coming. And I let you do. Please, can you tell us how was your approach to the Metaverse and how is your background until now? If you want to come start, Alex.
Thank you for inviting us. So my approach to the Metaverse was incredibly random because I was stuck at home like everybody during 2020, and I decided that I wanted to study more about the Metaverse, about the blockchain, and not watching Netflix at the time. So I wanted to really do something good. And I started to explore more beyond Bitcoin, let's say. So I went to Bitcoin, then I went to Ethereum, I discovered smart contracts. And then I bumped into the Sandbox, which is one of the biggest Metaverse developer out there, which has a video game, a virtual real estate platform, and gives the opportunity to people to create assets as NFTs. And I created a landing page at the time, which attracted people to discover the Sandbox. And then day by day, I started to work with the Sandbox to grow their community, to help them to attract artists. And that was my first approach. Like this was back in 2020. And then in the last 3 years, I've been helping companies to hire people to work into the Metaverse, in DAOs and in crypto in general. And I believe personally that the Metaverse is like the biggest opportunity for everybody to be involved in many topics, such as democracy. I guess that's something we can talk more about later.
Okay, thank you very much. Edwin?
Yes, so my approach to Metaverse is about creating digital twins and seeing how this, not just the virtual reality, augmented reality is also part of the Metaverse. It can be offline, it can be online. So I deal with tokenizations, which is digitization of assets, breaking down, fractionalization. So now we're starting to see some of the clients trying to onboard their future community or buyers of tokens with a pre-experience. So for example, we're dealing now with real estate, and while the real estate is being raised or whatever, we're providing a digital twin of what it's going to be or how it's going to be. So we're starting to merge the experience, right? Because everything in the Metaverse, it's supposed to be an experience and feeding out to that community for engagement and retention. So it's just not just people investing in real estate, it's also providing them with an infrastructure where they can become part of the community or make use of the future utilities that the real estate is going to build. And that's on the virtual side of things. And augmented reality, I think for me, it's actually right now what is my favorite, because it's more of a direct adoption, because everybody has a phone and everybody has a camera, so you can really provide an experience there. And we're seeing that a lot in the real estate, like when you go and buy a flat, you already can go around and establish how the painting could be, how the floors, whatever, the carpets, the materials. So it's kind of like we are trying to not meet indirectly just based on the tokenization, but provide that experience so they understand like how it's going to be the end product. So it's more about like during the issuance, and after the issuance, how you can even create new models on top of that. So that's for me how I'm navigating through the metaverse. And no governance, yes, we can talk about that a lot.
Lorenzo, please.
Well, for me, it's been a long time in the decentralized social networks and decentralized systems for society. I'm taking care maybe from this perspective of human actions. So we have a society actually to tackle with. It's technology one side and society on the other side. And we are trying to bond them together. And there is some major issue there to be solved first. And I think it's more than a philosophical topic to talk about before the technological topic. And mostly in taking care about that through also, we are designing and building a decentralized social network called the AKASHA project, AKASHA Foundation. And we are taking care a lot about all the ethics behind how society is being modified by the technology. So we do need to take care of this issue. I see that as an issue most of the time, and yeah, I'm more decided in building something related to what humans need first, and then how we can do it in a technological way.
Thank you.
That's
It's a good approach, I think. Well, many people maybe are thinking that, well, first I have to know what a metaverse is, and we are talking about governance in metaverses. Maybe we are going one step beyond, no? But I ask, it's really important, the governance in the metaverse, or but there are a lot of metaverse, and Meta, Microsoft, and other platforms have made metaverse, and nobody talks about governance. Why are we are talking here about governance? Why do you think it's important for you, Alex?
Yeah, I think going back to what you said, like now, I think there is one metaverse that matters, which is the open metaverse. I firmly believe that we should give people that build the metaverse the right amount of money to do that, the right opportunities. And the open metaverse economy is the one that we should try to pursue. I'm not against Meta. I'm not against anybody in general in my life, but I believe that what Meta is doing is not the right approach, because they are, they just laid off 11,000 people yesterday. So it's kind of like they're failing into what they should do, in my opinion. But in terms of like governance, I think it's very important to start to believe something, that metaverse is inevitable, whatever definition you want to give about the metaverse. And the fact that real life and the metaverse are going to become one in the next couple of years, it's something that we should start to all think about. Of course, in this room, everybody thinks about that, but in the outside world, people are not realizing that this is going to happen. So I like what you said before that about augmented reality. I think it's very important to start like combining these two.
The onboarding.
Yeah, the onboarding. So the company I work for now is called Landbolt, and we actually building the metaverse. We are doing that for brands. We have been building experience for MasterCard and Heineken as Web2 brands, but also for Word of Woman as a Web3 brand. Nice. And we try to give the opportunity to people to build this experience along with us. So we start to pursue this open metaverse economy, which is very important for everybody. And governance is going to be a big part of that. That's a very important topic, like how do we give people the opportunity to vote and express their votes. This is going to impact also our society, and I really believe that direct democracy is going to be the future, hopefully in a better way than what the government of Italy tried to do, and also there is another example in the Netherlands government that didn't go the right way, but we're still experimenting, so I think everybody can contribute and give their idea about it.
You, Edwin, what do you think about?
Yeah, so I guess, yeah, regarding onboarding, how many of you have tested, I don't know, Sandbox or, not Meta, please. I am against Meta.
Please no.
Or Roblox. I mean, how many of you have really engaged into like a virtual? Yeah, raise the hand, I would like to know. Oh, not so bad, actually.
Yeah.
So the onboarding could be there. How many of you have played Pokemon Go or something like that? Less. Oh, wow, this is a more interesting crowd.
That's the age.
So the experiment is over. I failed. No, I'm kidding. So regarding governance, I mean, we have to understand like states are the ones leading like the whole governance. We're all like part of a tribe under some regulations and some borders, and then how comes like the open governance. So everybody just jumps into a whole new digital world where it's barrierless, it's borderless, it's governance-less, because people have still to decide how everything is going to be ruled in that world. So we're having different cultures from different tribes all going into the same kind of field. And that's weird because everybody has a preconception as to how governance or how they vote is not the same a vote from a people in Europe than a vote from a people in Latin America. So it's kind of like these governance models are still being built. And it's important that the feedback itself is what is the best approach. It's not the same Islamic law to Roman law to common law. I mean, all of that embeds into the governments. And then the digital world, the metaverse, comes and say, you know what, we swipe clean all of that and we rebuild. And that's the moment that I think that it's important now with the governance, is how we're going to rebuild the new laws based on everybody's feedback and everybody's know-how and everybody's experience, and push that into creating a whole new governance where we feel part of. Because I don't know, I'm 35, I've never voted in my life, but count me in DAOs, I vote like crazy. And it's why? Because I feel part of a community, I feel part of the utilities that I'm getting, versus when I vote into the governance of the state where I belong now, which is Spain, I don't feel connected to the political level. But based on the digital level, I get to talk with different people from different backgrounds and experience self, and also build more know-how on my brain. So navigating governance to metaverse, I believe it's kind of like a whole restructuring of the social formats that we are embedded or what we created. And that's a big, big leap. We don't know. We're all testing right now. I think the testing phase is super important. We are beta testing or maybe alpha testing. We don't know. But I don't think we're there as to a finished product where we also need to be protected. Metaverse being so anonymous or so open, it also has inflections as to not everything could happen in the metaverse. No, we've seen some infractions of the law, people doing things that in the real life they shouldn't do, but then in the metaverse it's like, oh yeah, I'm an avatar. But a crime is a crime. And there's some things that we're still trying to digest. So for me, it's also important that now we can create standards and see, not to make it a law, but just kind of like a guideline as to, hey, let's see how we can all get together to the end point, which is like an open governance where we're all part of. And I think we still have a couple of years ahead that are going to be rough, and maybe in the future everything is going to be clean, right?
Hopefully. This is a nice exercise to me, going virtual to get rid of all the issues of the limitation, the physical world, of the it's like dinosaurs. These institutions are big and strong, and we are powerless in this world, in this physical world, kind of. So I feel this metaverse governance thing is like going to Mars and trying to create a new society. It's good to test it before. This is a good exercise for us to try to understand how we work. We want to work together. Of course, we need to first understand what we want to vote. We vote on the infrastructure, let's say the meta or the metaverse itself, the structure, the corporation behind, let's say, the organization, the whole. Or we are voting about some little details we want to put a plant here, or to build building, or to manage who can have, who can build or who cannot, for example. We can do a lot of stuff in the metaverse, and it's pretty easy and straightforward. Easy. There is a lot of work to do, but what I see in there is that one of the first things we need to approach is which kind of platform we want to use. I'm pretty, I say, biased in some ways. I would prefer to have open infrastructure, to have software that can talk to each other, to have a metaverse can talk to another metaverse. If we don't want these clusters, like, hey, welcome to the meta world, to the our environment. These are the laws. We decide the laws. You can play. So it's kind of entertainment, but you are inside entertainment and make it profit for the company, while also the company can let you have some profit or do some stuff that they decide and not you. So it's okay. I feel it a bit as entertainment in there, but it's being used in some way. So that's the phase that I don't like much. But of course, open to discussion for this. I would prefer something more that we can decide the rules of the game. I want to take part of some game, and okay, I want the game to work like this or work like that. Everybody can enter, or you can enter only if this and that. We can decide these rules as well. That's an option. Another option would be we can have a premeditated, pre-designed setups. So I'm going to this world because these are the rules. I'm okay with that. I want to play. And the moment I'm tired of that, I can leave and go to another world. If I have same language, I can move to another world and keep my identity, keep my values, the value I created, keep the contact and the links and the messages and all the work that I've been doing to keep it and go in another. It's kind of Fediverse, let's say.
That's very important.
So there's this. What I see is these two are pretty much okay. The first, let's say, the preconceived, pre-designed environment is something that I would prefer not, at least not to be the only or the main settings or environment. But
you have said something very interesting about interoperability. Imagine that we can change, that we achieve the interoperability between metaverse, and we can change from one to other in a transparent way. Should be a global governance of all metaverse, because if you are changing and all the rules are different, can be a really chaos, no?
Yeah. So there is a couple of like structure that were put in place already in terms of like open metaverse. Landlord is part of the Blockchain Gaming Alliance, which is more related to, for instance, the gaming industry inside the blockchain world. But there is also other structure that have been created for the open metaverse. And I think it's going to be important in terms of like, I don't know, the world government talk between each other. It's going to be important that there is like a structure where people can make decisions. But at the same time, I'm also kind of like thinking if we do something that is too closed, it would be just replication of the real world, and that would be something that is not always working the right way. Of course, with blockchain, we can get more transparency about decision making, and people can be more participating into that. But I think it's very important that we have a layer zero that has a structure for the whole metaverse that is interconnected. And actually what Lorenzo was mentioning about the interoperability, I think is one of the biggest reasons why gaming and gamers are going to be the first people entering in you know, thousands and a million of people playing into the metaverse. Because when I was working in gaming, traditional gaming before, I was organizing esport tournaments, and kids were scared because they were like, okay, if the game tomorrow shuts down, all the money, all the hours that we investing in this game are going to be just disappearing. And with NFTs, this doesn't happen, because once you hold one NFT as a weapon, as a treasure, as a anything, is yours until you lose the key of your of your wallet. So I think gaming is going to be one of the biggest reasons why people are going to start entering into the metaverse. And then, of course, people will need to, you know, decide the rules together. But again, it's like a big challenge. It's something that is not going to happen in one day. And there is several ways that there's several tools that can be used to make this challenge easier, I think.
Okay. Edwin, as a lawyer or specialist in law, specialist in law, better? Okay.
Sorry. No,
It could be rules inside the metaverse that are different from the rules of the real world, or are over the rules of the real world, or should not be possible?
I mean, right now in the regulatory aspects, nobody invents law. It has already been created. So actually, any kind of use case or action, there's an analogy where you can apply a law that was applicable to that certain aspect or action. The Edwin Mata. So I do feel like we need to provide that protection because right now we're in a very, very early stage of what the metaverse can be. And right now we're establishing the pillars or fundamentals under what it is going to be grown into. So it's like when you have a child. Do you want it to be like the little devil or you want it to be something that you feel proud of? And right now, this is like the whole communications that we have in the back from a legal perspective, also understanding like how can we create a system where there's not just one individual, but it's individuals across the globe with different regulations, with different standards, with different everything, and we just create something for that digital world where everything is just mixed. Like the task, it's humongous. Like we don't even know where to start. People are just panicking. It's like, oh, what happens now? So I think legality obviously is needed, protection definitely needed, and interoperability. I strongly believe that when we start having these governing bodies, people will have the freedom as well to enter whatever benefits them or best suits them, which is something us as individuals is very hard. I'm here living in Spain. For me to live in Australia, the burden of me moving to Australia, becoming an Australian citizen, a resident, working there is huge. Versus now, I belong in a laptop, mobile, and I decide where do I want to jump, monetize my job, monetize my friends, monetize my community, become part of something at a click. So that's completely different from what we're used to. So that adds a lot of burdens in the back. But again, if we end up solving it, then everybody can decide where they want to be citizens of. As layer 2, well, layer 1 is just where you live. And you don't even have to communicate with whatever you want. You can decide who you want to be.
Okay, thank you. In fact, I don't know if people are really concerned about what's happening with the personal data in these places because we are just in the beginning of the expansion of the metaverse. But probably we'll spend more time in the virtual life than in the real life or in the mixed life. That's the problem. Maybe in a few years it will be difficult to differentiate between the virtual and real life because there will be objects that will be real or unreal. No? So we'll be sharing a lot of personal data. Most part of our life will be there. So from this point of view, it's really important what happens with our data. I don't know if there is something about that or for example, there are actually cases of intimidation in the metaverse. Imagine when it seems real, no? About the point of view of social entrepreneur, what do you think, Lorenzo?
This is open.
Oh, I'm sorry, I think.
Hey. Okay. I think this is an open conversation. We need to solve this beforehand. We can keep working, but we do need to solve this. What is identity? Can I have a copy of my identity? Can somebody impersonate me? Is a company that store my identity information? Is my identity is them? I am theirs. It's me. I can decide my name. Can I have multiple identities? This is one of the main topics if we want to in some way leave the physical world and get to the imaginary constructed virtual world. But also if we want to use the everyday software and services that they are going more and more digital, there is something there we need to talk about. And nobody's talking about that apart from companies that they are actually developing. And I mean, quite nobody. And so I think we need to be conscious of what it means to get online and to be managed as a person, as an identity, to be managed and to be guided in some way or another. I do think zero knowledge proof. I do think that there are some protocols that provides us with some step forward. It's not finished yet, but there are some good proposals over there. For example, as a parallel let's say image, if you get stopped by police, for example, and they want to check if you are able to drive or not, if you can drive in the street or not, and you can show them the driving license, and they will check your name, where you're born, and all the data, all the personal data, which is okay. We trust in an institution, and that's okay. What if this institution is a private company? They're checking out all my information, and just to know if I'm able to pass by with the car or not. With the zero knowledge proof, you will have a check of yes, can pass or not. It can check if that's okay, that you can drive, and they don't know anything. They don't know anything about you. They just check if that is allowed or not.
It's like anti-KYC, like they know without knowing.
Yeah, in some way, yeah, exactly. So if the protocol is well done, you can have zero error there, possibly, and you can guarantee that all the rules are respected and no information passed through and goes to the big tech company that are actually monetizing this information. Sometimes, in most of the case, people don't understand the value of that. So to me, that there is some work to do in this direction. It's both legal and it's cultural, more than technical.
Yeah,
I think
the zero knowledge proof, no? In fact, how can, where is the edge between to be a user anonymized, to be in the private without showing your real identity or not? How can you be responsible if you are anonymous inside the metaverse? How can we manage that from the point of view of governance? Edwin?
All right. Okay, can you repeat the question?
Yeah. Okay, we are all under the rules and government of the metaverse, but I want to get in the as an anonymous person. But how can I be responsible? How can take accountability if I'm an anonymous person? How can we solve that? Or Alex or Edwin or you, Lorenzo?
I'll just point something. I mean, it's going to be either through zero proof or something else, but it's very complex because one of the Web3 powerhouses is the anonymity or the possibility of just being a wallet, and that just gives you absolute freedom. But also, if you perform something that is against the standard law, whatever you want to call it, then you also need responsibility because accountability should not be erased just by anonymity. So I think there's I don't have a solution. I go back and say like this, but I think it's all about, from a cultural point of view, education right now is crucial. I think a lot of the focus is just execution, but without educating that first part as to what are the outcomes of what you're building or how it can be used or how you limit that. Because right now we're just building crazy things and everybody's just like shooting it for everything. So that's why innovation is thriving, but at the end we're also having difficulties when some projects fall or are used in a wrong way. So it's kind of like, how can we do that? I mean, right now would like to say we need to educate a lot into these new models of governance, a lot into what Web3 is, the good, the bad, the stoppers, the blockers, the enablers. I think we are really restructuring everybody's mind and formats and governance. So, I mean, that's a huge task.
You, Alex?
Yeah, I was thinking because there is always kind of like not a fight, but a challenge when you work with people anonymous in the Web3 space. So I've been working both with people that I know the face, their name, or people that I don't know their name, their face, I just know their voice. And I tend to work better with people that I can talk face to face, at least in a cam, because that's better to me. But at the same time, I think you have a way to kind of like knowing if a person is worth working with. And that's, for instance, checking their wallet. The wallet is kind of like their resume. In some ways, you can see what NFT they were buying, what kind of transaction they've been doing, and you can understand what kind of like a mentality they have. At Landbolt, we actually released an NFT called Genesis Token. So the people that hold this NFT, they can actually then join our building operations. So that's their way to enter in our space. And then the more they are in this space, which is our Discord community, and when they connect the wallet, then they can join us and say, look, we want to join in building this parcel. So we'll give them the operations to do. And then the best one gets chosen for the next one. So their resume starts with NFT, which is on chain. But then the way that they operate in the metaverse without seeing their face, decide if they're worth working with or not. And I think showing your value in the metaverse is possible without showing your face. And you can give proof of your skill set also just with your wallet. So I think it's probably not a software, but it's a way that you can understand that in a more human way.
You have to create your own personality, your own sociability, your own reputation.
Your portfolio,
inside the metaverse. Yeah.
Another way might be something that Vitalik talked about in the last couple of months, which are soulbound token, which is a very unique way to kind of like airdropping something into someone's wallet, which is going to be there forever. So I think if someone, for instance, did a good job or got a, let's say, degree of being a builder in the metaverse, that can be airdropped to this person, and then just knowing that this thing is in their wallet without knowing their name will keep them anonymous if they want to, but then it will give proof of how good they are. Imagine if on LinkedIn, everybody can write everything on LinkedIn, on Twitter, but not everybody that writes that they are working Web3, they're not sometimes, right? But in a Web3 LinkedIn, if you have a soulbound token with a company that says this guy, this girl, or this whatever is working the right way, you will have the proof there. So I think there are ways, and we are, again, experimenting to find the right one.
Lorenzo?
I don't know where to start. There is a reputation system that we need to take care of. That's, again, what Alessandro said. If this is interoperability way of thinking and way of developing, it's mainstream used, or at least is used in some different words, we can take a reputation, a personal identity reputation, and give it and move it around. So you have a proof that you have good behavior, or you did interact a lot, you did some good stuff, or you did you help people, or whatever it is, you own stuff, whatever it is. And we need a common protocol. And this is the base of interoperability.
Yeah.
That's, I think that's, to resume a lot, that's it.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Yes. And the way to manage all the governance in Metaverse is, are the DAOs? The DAOs are the solution, or the tool, or a way? What do you think?
Yeah, there is a long way to go for DAOs. I've been joining a couple. Most of these are NFT collection that are trying to decide where the project should go, what should be the next step. And I must say that the biggest challenge for DAOs is making decisions together. And I can make an example, like I was part of a DAO, and I was trying to be elected as a member of the council of this DAO, and then in the end I was not elected. Even if 18 people voted for me, these 18 people weight of the vote was lower than 2 people that had the majority of the token inside the wallet. And that's, of course, that's not democracy. That's just a way where people that have more power or more money or more NFT in their wallet will win, which is basically what's happening already in the real world, where people with more connection, more power can use this as leverage to make a decision. So I think the majority of DAO use Snapshot as a tool to make the voting system happen, which is fine as a proposal. But I think we have a better way to kind of like aggregate people together and making sure that everybody as one opportunity to really make the vote count. Otherwise, it will just be the early adopters of the project will be rightfully having more power because they believe in the project in the first place. But maybe it's also that people that believe in the project afterwards, they had just more money in their wallet and they were able to buy this token to gain more voting power. So I think that's the biggest problem of many DAO today. But I believe that DAOs are a great experiment. I see that in the last couple of months, probably last year, the state of Wyoming in the States was the first one worldwide to actually allow in DAO to be a legal entity. And the biggest problem or opportunity for DAO is the fact that it's everybody and no one. It's many people combined. So if the DAO has a good goal, like for instance buying the Constitution, like Constitution DAO in the States, that's a good way. That's a good reason to do that. But sometimes DAO can also be just speculative DAO where people just want to make more money. So I'm more for DAOs that have a reason to exist that is for good for other people, and I would love to see more DAO like that. Actually, if you have some example of nice DAO that are doing that, that would be great. Like I'm looking for more positive DAO out there.
Yeah, DAO for good.
DAO for good, yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree completely here because what is the focus of the DAO? You have to really specialize. See, like, are you going to run it as a company, as a business? Are you going to provide that kind of incentive that people join, or are you going to go for a social good? I mean, it's a vehicle for a means. But on that vehicle, not being a legal entity, they have a lot of problems. They don't even have a bad number, so they can't even pay employees or pay invoices. That's crazy, and not everything right now has to be crypto. Like we have to onboard Web3 with Web2, and the DAOs are very resilient on talking with Web2 because they're in this super hyper digitized world where everything is in cryptocurrency and they just belong to a community. But then they fail at some minor things. For example, there was with the Constitution DAO, there was one buying the Dune book. So they raised like 2 million to buy an exemplar of a Dune book. There was the Dune movie. So they thought they buy that exemplar, they will buy the IP of the Dune movie. So it's kind of like they raised a lot of money without the expertise to understand that exemplary was just an exemplary. It was a very rare one. So money got lost. And it's like, there's a difficulty with DAO where there was a good, but there was not like an entity establishing, this is how it has to work. And sometimes that's the problem with DAOs that I'm seeing a lot in the ones that I'm in. It's like it's not that the powerhouse is so diverse. Everything has to be diverse, very democratic. But sometimes there's no real resolution, and it just stays there in a continuous economic. And then the decision is just what happens. Weighting votes, a big problem. Wallet weight should not be the more majority of vote because then founders of the DAO, they say, no, I'm not a founder, but then they keep an allocation which makes them have a bigger weight.
Members.
Yeah, they call they're founders. You can call it whatever. Those guys are acting like founders with shares. They're a startup. But so I'm seeing some good mechanism trying to implement in some participant votes. Kind of like you can measure now with Discord, the servers and the interactions, even in Telegram, you can pinpoint. And it's like, if that guy is participating more than anybody, maybe he's really pushing that the DAO goes for a good end. So why don't you listen more to that than me, who I jump in every once in a while, I check out and I vote, and it's like, okay, I like this. Like, I don't have the same feedback as somebody who's really pushing for that movement. So governance levels right now, we are still, I'm saying we because I'm trying to build a DAO even, where we have to really allocate is like, what is the end? Who's going to participate? How are you going to measure the participation? How the decision is going to be taken? Do we have the council members? How are we going to renew that? Because the DAO, it's all about kind of like building a new type of democracy. So yeah, it's very complex, but I do believe DAOs will show the rest a lot of things that can be embedded in that. It's not just money. It's not just status. It's not just how big your wallet is. It's like, that we have to change that mentality, I think.
All goes to reputation system.
Yeah. Apparently, we have to build right now a reputation system.
Sounds like
That's it. Understand what we give value. Like human beings, we give value to how good is a person, how many skills, how good is in those skills. Is maybe sometimes it happens a lot. It happens a lot. And in social networking, right now there is a good reputation system, good. You have a big value based on how much marketing you do. So this maybe is not related. This is not what we want to have stars, to have 5 stars or whatever, or 10 points or whatever. maybe we need to work on multiple layers of reputation. How nice behaving are you? How good skilled are you in this or that topic? Maybe this skill was good 10 years ago and now you're not so good anymore. So we need to take care of all these steps. Am I good? And somebody who is better than me actually push for me. And so maybe I have even better reputation. And this way we can maybe go in a direction where it's not one vote equals, one person equals one vote. Maybe the vote of somebody who knows more has more value, and somebody who knows less has less value. Or somebody who takes care of the community has more value in the community, and somebody who takes care of the technical part has more value in the technical. That's something.
Yeah. Yes.
And also interrelationship of the reputation. So a reputation system that behaves and create interrelated interdependence in between reputations. So a person who is very good in this can actually give more value to somebody who's just beginning but has brilliant ideas or brilliant way of thinking, and so that person even has not the experience but has a good value because of that.
Yeah.
And we need to in any way be careful about plutocracy, which is the amount of tokens I have, I can vote more, or I'm more powerful. This is repeating over and over our mentality. And again, our mentality is coding our future, and we need to take care of that.
Meritocracy. I heard that word once.
It's plutocracy, and then there is meritocracy. Democracy is another way of thinking, which is maybe working, maybe not.
It's said that democracy is not perfect. Maybe in the metaverse could be a bit better. No, we have more possibilities to do it better.
Yeah, definitely is a ground to play with.
Like canvas.
Very good.
Yeah,
Be able to play.
Totally agree. Imagine that some of the people are thinking about, okay, well, how can I start to promote governance in our systems? What tools can we use? Alex, you know several tools. You can explain to us.
Yeah, I think there's the classic tools like we mentioned before. Snapshot is like the basic tools to basically create proposal and to vote for them, basically connecting people that have told this NFT, this token, they could be able to vote. But then there is this problem that we just mentioned that the more token or NFT you have, the more vote you can get. You look, like my background is marketing, partnership, but at the end of the day, what I do is building communities, and I always like to look at these kind of tools. And I think two tools that really help me, which are very basic but can help everybody else, are Collabland and Guild XYZ, which are tools where you can use on your Discord or outside of Discord, that you can connect the wallet of people that hold this particular token, and you can make these people part of the community. So you can just allow these people to enter in this specific section of your Discord server, and you can basically create activities for them. So I like to create communities that really have a value, and where people can come together and talk about decision making, not just because of the token they hold, but because they really care about the community. And I see this community that I've been part of for a long time, which is the Ash Mask, which was basically one of the oldest NFT collection out there. And this community used to have a DAO, and this DAO in the end is solved because they were kind of like fighting between the founding member and the people of the DAO, which have the same goal, but they just were not able to come together. So I think the tool is just a way in the end to do something, but then in the end, what you need more is like probably a community manager, which are going to guide the community. So I would say the biggest tool that everybody can have is the right community manager, somebody that grow into the community and that knew everybody from the get-go, if possible. Otherwise, somebody that has skills to grow the community. That's the biggest tool that everybody can have in Web3.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right now, we're using a tool called Crew3, where we supply different tasks for community members to show certain skills or not, and then we're building an ambassador program, because as you said, kind of like everybody can have a bigger weight, but we want to have those engagement people. So we're starting measuring in our community who's more for actually or keen to see Brickken succeed, but not just because the token value might explode or downfall, because they see something that it's kind of like the same vision. So we started, we're doing a bunch of experiments, not experimenting with people, please don't take it like that. We're trying to understand how to push that community itself starts building itself, kind of like some layers of architecture. And right now we're pushing for that, kind of like who's doing good tasks for Brickken, and then providing us with feedback. We have a lot of ongoing AMAs with them. We call them town halls, and we sit down with the ambassadors. We start arguing because we are just a group of guys. We don't have the same perspective as them trying to say, oh, you know what, I believe in Brickken. It's like, you do? Why? And then let's build on that. So we're trying to structurize. So for me, like, what is the best building tool for a DAO? Obviously, it's creating community. How do you create a community? First of all, jump in 1,000 communities, get all the knowledge that you can do that. I mean, that's free. Actually, jumping in some DAOs, you can even join the Discord without the NFT through Call of Land. It's a blocker. I like Call of Land because you can build your different levels of people who are really pursuing you or helping you in succeed. But I think the first, you know how you create a community with here. Right now, all of us, we could create a community right now. Just invite people, tell them what is the incentive. Don't try to make it a monetizable. It's like, you guys believe in goods. Why don't we set up a little fund and go and distribute it to people that need it out there? Well, I mean, that's execution, you know, kind of like don't ideate so much. Go and execute, test trial, and that's how you probably can end up gathering more community, because community expands. It's not just your first threshold. It's those community can bring more community, which can bring more community. So it has to be an amplifiable scope. And basically, you always have to be in interaction mode with them. Kind of like, especially, for example, us, that we're Web3, all founders, we go down, and nobody is a founder here. We are, like you guys, we're trying to build something. Don't put us there where we don't belong. Let's go here, and that's why we're getting more stronger community, because we're getting invited even to like birthday parties or going navigating or not mountain climbing. And that for me is rocks. It's like, I just got a new friend, you know, kind of like, why not? You know, it's not has to be so digital, so cold. So, I mean, for me, just my best advice I can give is execute whatever you have there, an idea, communicate, whatever you want to learn, go for it. Internet is accessible to everyone, right?
Yep, completely agree, actually. I'm more in real life person. I prefer physical tools than digital tools most of the time. Governance is very complex, and testing it out in our close, like nearby environment, let's say, in between friends and in between the people we have around in our workplace, we can actually get to a deeper understanding of what's involved, how the complexity around there, but also to get in details how some patterns repeat in physical world and digital world. So the first thing I would say is test it physically with the person around, evaluate how good is this, how good is that, behaviors and skills and tasks, how difficult it is to just assign some task or just to say, I've done this, I've done that, you did it good, you did it bad, how good, good in this, not much in that. All this is a fractal kind of. It's never ending. It's a never ending process. We can get like a lot of details, and we do understand how complex it is to get from this to the digital part, which is we have a barrier there, and sometimes it's easy. Sometimes you need to oversimplify some things in order to get it to use it.
Okay. So thank you. Well, yeah, we are in the last minute, so let me make the 1 million question. No? How do you see the future? What do you expect of the future of the metaverse? You can explain what you think. It's not necessarily the next year. It's 10 years from now.
Wow.
What or 5 years? 10 years is a lot, but
I think it's easier to see in 10 years than in 5 years.
Okay, then 10 years, as you prefer.
Look, it's a very complicated question, but I like it. Like, it can go anyway. Just looking at Europe for 1 second, I think Europe is just starting to realize the power of the metaverse, while in Dubai, they're already 10 years ahead of us. So I think there will be a first part, using a term that Lorenzo just used, like fractionalization in each geo or region. There will be different way of looking at the metaverse. And then at some point there will be an actor, which I hope is not going to be part of the closed metaverse, which is going to take over. So I think it's our mission for everybody who is here today, that I believe that they believe in the open metaverse, to actually educate other people to what open metaverse is all about. And the more people will do that, the more people will be able to actually create opportunities for others. Because at the end of the day, what I see in the metaverse in the next 5, 10, 20 years, whatever, is the fact that there will be created, many jobs will disappear in the real world, but many others will appear, as always. So I think I see the metaverse as an opportunity, and it's going to be definitely something that is going to be mixed with augmented reality. I imagine what Snap and Google did a couple of years ago with glasses will become part of the metaverse, where we have both hybrid, virtual and real life. It's not easy to reply what it's going to be, but what it is today is not enough. Like, we need something that is more like taught for people. It doesn't need to be just replication of real life. It needs to be something that enhances the life of people. So I like to see the metaverse as the next billion-dollar opportunity for people to actually change their life. And what I do on a daily basis is actually trying to give people opportunities. And with Lambert, we are trying to attract creators. We're going to attract people that want to invest in the metaverse, and people that want to build in metaverse, like building not just video games, but building experiences. If you're a developer, if you are a designer, if you are a community manager, we are hiring like crazy, even in this bear market, so have a look at us. We want to give people opportunities. That's the main thing for me.
Thank you. Edwin?
Yeah. So I think I would say it's hybrid. Kind of like the onboarding, offboarding between digital and real is going to be very slim, right? Because in the end, we're already super digitized. We live on the phone. Right now, I'm looking at the audience, like 80% just check the phone a couple of times. I mean, we're there. So how can we benefit from that also as speakers? Maybe we can create new ways of interaction, of onboarding, kind of like once we reduce the barrier between worlds, then we'll see what's happening. And then maybe we just, I don't know, I really don't know. But I do know that that's what at least I want to see, kind of like it's just one self mechanism, kind of like a liquid. You don't see water transforming in different spaces. It's just a wave. So I see that we're going to get there regardless of whatever happens. People are not going to be off digital. In 10 years, we're talking about like the millennials who were born with a phone, then making decisions at higher levels in companies. So the level of digitization is going to explode even more because the new generations, like they're already a phone, so to speak. So we're going to be growing and growing exponentially at the digital. So we all have to get used to this new way of lifestyle. But it is beneficial or not, well, everybody has to decide. Some people like the forest and don't talk to a phone. Other people don't know anymore the forest and talk to the phone. So let's adjust.
And Lorenzo, final words?
I have some mixed feeling, as usual. I see this as a first world topic, issue, thing, game, whatever. I see so many things that we need to solve beforehand, but this is, to me, still is speculation on what life can be. We need to solve some other stuff. Still, here in Barcelona, there is a digital division of people, kids. We saw that in the pandemics. Who couldn't access a computer. So they couldn't access classes, basic education. And we are now running towards the future and whatever we want to plan. And we need to think that the world is pretty big, there is a lot of variety, a lot of possibilities. I hope this is not, sorry, don't get me wrong. I see a lot of possibilities in the metaverse. I see a lot of possibilities in virtual reality and mixed reality. I see enhancement of what we can do, and now physically we have some limitation, and with the digital we can have something like much faster as we did with a phone to be able to call a person in China just in 2 seconds. That was not even imaginable before, and now with this technology we're getting even farther. But what I'm concerned about is I see tribes, I see peoples in this moment struggling for other stuff, and we are creating such a digital divide in this. So the the first world get even faster, even higher. So we need to take care about that as well. I hope this is going the good direction, and it's only in our hands, on the hands of people who's building this, and in the society, if we want together to take care about this topic or not. And there is so much work to do, so many conversations still to get done, and we are just starting this bridge towards the future.
Yeah, it's
what we want it to be.
It's important to have in mind, but we hope that Metaverse will help to everybody, not just one part of the world. Okay, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. And well, if we don't have time for questions for the public, but now if someone,
Thank you.
can.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.